Welcome to Bowie News and Views. I'm John Rouse. Bert Oliver is busy today. He won't be here. And I'm pleased to have as our guest none other than the famous or infamous mayor of the city of Bowie.
Do I get to choose which those are?
Mayor for life, G. Fred Robinson. Welcome, sir.
It's always a pleasure to be here,
Nice
John.
to see you. Yeah.
Yes, nice to be seen.
I'd like to, I think I mentioned it to you earlier, the Bowie Institution has passed away.
Yeah, Nancy.
Nancy O'Brien, Jack O'Brien is her husband. We wish the family condolences because she was certainly one of the more active people this community. I've got some memories of her.
Class act. I know they've been spending a lot of their time over the last few years in Florida.
Yeah.
And that's where she was, I guess, when she was taken ill. But,
yeah.
But you're right, class couple, she was a class act.
Represents the old Bowie.
Yeah.
Which will never exist again, Fred.
You may be right. You know, it's funny, sometimes when I go over to the senior center, I use that line that I use a lot, and that is, these are the folks that converted a development into a community.
Yes, absolutely.
And, you know, and you stop to think about it, and the people that moved here in the early 60s and settled here, you know, what was a bedroom community between D.C. and Annapolis and Baltimore. Yeah. And my guess is most of the people that initially came here in 60, 61, 62 probably would never have anticipated Bowie growing as it had.
No, no.
But you're right. Those are the folks that really set Bowie on a pathway to becoming, I think, one of the clearly best communities in the region.
I would agree with you if it weren't for the intrusions of Prince George's County.
Well, I can't pick the geography.
No, you can't. I'd like to bring up a story that I'm sure you read in today's Post. Prince George's County, and I quote from the Post, where the public schools remain among the worst performing in Maryland, and the number of homicides, robberies, and car thefts rank near the top in the state, despite the fact that our police department continues to tell us, well, oh, everything's clearing up. Now, we here, I would like to make clear that we here in Bowie have an excellent police department, and thank God it's here, or we'd be in bad shape because we've had murders right within our periphery. We've had 2 murders within the last month right in the periphery. But what I found hilarious, and I'm sure you'll be circumspect in your commentary on this, but...
Circumspect? Is that like where the clowns and the...
That's it. That's right. The county executive, one Jack Johnson, his comment here is, we elevated our county. Well, I would like to know what the heck he elevated it to. I've been here for nearly 4 decades under a lot of county executives.
Well, you go back to the commissioners.
Well, I go back to Samuel Ogle, of course.
Yeah.
Actually,
you and Samuel were
commissioners were just, I came here for the transition from commissioners to county council. You know, this county has major problems, and they don't seem to be dealing with them.
Well, the biggest problem is over the last decade or more, the county's tried to look to identify what it is and what it wants to be when it grows up. Bowie had some similar challenges over the last 10, 12 years, like what do we want to be when we grow up?
We're grown up.
I think we've managed the city fairly well in terms of one of the things that we've done that I'm not really sure how effectively the county's done. We sat down with our own folks, with our own staff, and some people from the University of Maryland and said, look, we know what the city looks like now. Let's try to project what it's going to look like in 5 years, and 10 years, and 20 years, and what are the flags that you need, and you know, what are the infrastructure required in order to be successful if your projections are right. And that's how we got to moving towards the city police department. We looked at options, we looked at alternatives. You know, I've said all along, I respect the men and women at the police district.
Of course, but they were overburdened.
Well, there were never enough of them. No. On the best of days, there would be like 4 county officers assigned to a city that is by population larger than 8 of Maryland's counties.
That's right. And on the worst of days, there was not a single car in this entire city.
On the midnight shift, if on a normal basis, there'd be 1 or 2 people assigned to the city. That's assuming nobody was sick or nobody was on leave or nobody was handling an accident. And we concluded that was not in our long-term best interest. But what we did is we sat down and figured out what we want to do, why we want to do it, and how we want, and then we went to the community. And the community approved that dramatic change. And I think it was a wise decision to put it to referendum, and it was a wise decision by the voters to move forward.
It was a very wise decision by the voters. It really was. We could have more county police officers, county emergency medical types, firemen, you know, instead of these county council members and others bureaucrats down there having these absurd staffs. Our state senator, I've said this before, our state senator has one full-time person and a part-time aide.
Right.
These county council people have
four or five. Yeah.
Five. That's absurd.
One of whom is a chief of staff.
Oh, a chief of staff. That's what the hell they do. I don't know.
Well, for a position that is ostensibly a part-time position, according to the charter. Well, clearly there's been some growth on the fifth floor and the second floor. Some of us think that growth has been excessive, and some of us think that growth has gone clearly in the wrong direction. But you know, that's something the county's going to have to reconcile itself with.
It certainly is.
Because I think what's the good side, if there is a good side to economic challenges.
Oh, you think there's a good side? Tell me the good side.
No, I mean, if there are good sides to the economic challenge we're in, it's actually pushing people at the county and the state level into decision-making roles that they've been able to avoid in years past.
Oh,
like, what are the priorities, and what priorities should we be funding? And you know, you've heard me ask the same question 100 times. Why, in this day and age, is the county funding the county police, the county sheriff, the park and planning police, the WSSC police, and the school security system?
There's no reason for the county police, the county sheriff's department. No reason.
Is this a time to look at that in terms of looking at some benefits?
Well, they better start looking at something, Fred.
Yeah. But I tell you, as much as we talk about the police, the service that I quite candidly most concerned about is fire and EMS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because right now, I think they're understaffed.
Yeah.
We're doing reasonably well. We've opened up a fourth station here in Bowie, and with the combination of the paid staff and the Bowie Volunteer Fire Department, we're keeping our heads above water.
Right.
This past summer, when the county was going through some really tough staffing times, it was the Bowie Volunteer Fire Department that stepped in and came up with some very creative schedules. But the problem you have there is you cannot assume that the volunteer people are just there indefinitely all the times that you need. I mean, they're marvelous people, and they provide an incredible volunteer force. But the operative word there is volunteer.
Exactly.
And in this day and age, what I look at when I look at a city of almost 60,000 people, 25% of which are over 65, and 25% of which are under 25.
That's not us.
Well, it's certainly not me. Maybe you. But you know, that influences the kind of services, emergency services you need. And while I think, and it's clearly an issue with the new county council, county executive competition this year, because everybody's falling all over themselves.
No, I know.
You know, making promises about how they're going to change.
Well, you know where those promises go.
Yeah. Well, they make promises, and the promises are impacted by fiscal realities, and that's going to be the challenge. I have said, probably impolitic, in that it is, that whomever the new county executive is going to have to spend some serious time and some serious political capital on going line by line in the county executive's office, in the county council's office, and in all the departments.
Park and planning.
Park and planning. Oh, there's a clear one. I mean, you know my feelings about park and planning. But I think somebody's going to have to go through and say, is this position doing what it was intended to do, and can we do it better? And if you answer yes to those, that's fine. If you don't answer yes to them, then that's got to go over here for a decision as to whether that function or things should.
Well, the county executive alone has a whole staff just to disseminate his baloney. He has a PR department. You know, and what they produce is totally useless in most cases.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I don't engage too much in that part of thing, but you know, if you look at the departments, and everybody's competing for a dwindling supply of resources.